Being raised in an Indian background where you're expected to either be an engineer or a doctor, and I can't be a doctor, I can't be an engineer. I just want to be successful, I just want to be rich. This is what I want, but I didn't know how to get there.
Ritu Saxena recognised as one of the top 20 to watch in Australia and New Zealand.
She's a chartered accountant, a career coach, and a powerhouse in finance.
She brings 13 years of experience in investment banking. As the founder of Project Upgrade, she's empowering women to take charge of their careers.
What does great FP&A look like?
Being able to provide strategic insights that drive business decisions. The best FP&A teams, they don't just react, they are proactive.
Just so important. It's easy to be reactive and it's hard to challenge.
The part of networking kind of helped me right in the beginning of my career, and even today with the power of networking, we are right now recording a podcast here.
Yeah, today it's just a different world.
What? So what? And now what? Any problem, if you're able to describe in these 3 steps, it becomes so much easier for anyone to understand.
Any last advice you'd like to give our audience?
You will be solving a lot more problems. You will have a much broader perspective. If you think of
Finance pros, this is the event you don't want to miss. The AFP FP&A Forum, March 17th to 19th in Austin, delivers sales-free insights from top finance leaders. With 18 plus expert-led sessions, you'll gain actionable strategies to drive your success. I'll be there. Join me and hundreds of our peers. Learn more at afponline.org. Hello, everyone. Welcome to FP&A Tomorrow, where we delve into the world of financial planning and analysis, examining its current state and future prospects. I'm your host, Paul Barnhurst, aka the FP&A Guy, and I'll be guiding you through the evolving landscape of FP&A. Each week, we're joined by thought leaders, industry experts, and practitioners who share their insights and experiences, helping us navigate today's complexities and tomorrow's uncertainties. This week, I'm thrilled to be joined on the show by Ritu Saxena. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Paul. I am so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. This will be a fun conversation. And what time in the morning is it for you?
So it's 7:30 a.m. and I'm based in New Zealand, across the world from you. So this is going to be interesting.
Saturday, that's dedication.
Thank you. Now I was like, let's make this work, and really looking forward to our conversation.
I'm excited for it too. So let me give a little bit of your background. Yeah. Chartered accountant and career coach with over 13 years of experience in investment banking, Big Four consulting, and commercial finance across India and New Zealand. She has intentionally shaped her career, progressing from consultant to becoming a strategic and commercial business partner, which we'll definitely get into later. Beyond her corporate career, she has held leadership and governance roles on NGO boards and committees, including UN Women and CA Auckland Emerging Leaders. Her contributions to the profession and community earned her recognition as one of the top 20 CAs to watch in Australia and New Zealand. Impressive. As the founder of Project Upgrade, a career elevation platform designed with a WOC lens, she helps women gain clarity and confidence to land high-paying, strength-aligned roles by mastering strategic self-marketing and advocacy skills. Did I cover it all?
Yes, that's spot on. Thanks, Paul, for that amazing introduction.
You're welcome, Ritu. Let's jump in. What does great FP&A look like? Let's start there.
Oh, yeah. So whenever people talk about FP&A, the first 2 words that come to people's mind is, oh, do you mean budgeting and forecasting? And that is what's, is the narrative around whenever people just hear it. But then it's so much more than that. A great FP&A is actually being able to provide strategic insights that drive business decisions. And I call it like a bridge between finance and the business, where we are turning complex data into clear and actionable recommendations. And the best FP&A teams, they don't just react, they are proactive. They are constantly identifying risk, they're identifying opportunities, they're guiding leaders even before asking. And at the heart of it, it is strong business partnering, it is strong storytelling, and the confidence to challenge the status quo. So that is what makes a great FP&A. And of course, it's the people, like great people with great backgrounds, great experience, just amp it up even further.
Like, and I like something you said in there about being willing to challenge people and being proactive. 'Cause I think those, to a certain extent, go hand in hand. And they're just so important. It's easy to be reactive, and it's hard to challenge people. It's hard to say, look, this doesn't make sense, and here's why. Let's explore some other options versus just go with it, especially early in your career. So I appreciate that, because I know there are times I wish I would have maybe pushed a little bit more on certain things to go, yeah, that really is a bad idea and we shouldn't do it. And here's why, versus, oh, but everybody in the room loves it. All right, well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's one of those things that, business partner is a very broad title which shouldn't hold you back. I mean, a lot of people think that they are like at the analyst level, you are kind of held down with your title. But when it comes to business partnering, it's more like a strategic mindset, So challenging becomes like a norm of your role. And obviously we'll delve into it deeper. But this is what I understood later on in life. Like your title doesn't hold you back in terms of challenging the stakeholders.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, right? I mean, it's like so many people think, you have to have a title to be a leader.
Oh, yes.
No, manager has a title. A leader can be anybody.
Exactly. Exactly. And this is something that obviously I have probably learned over time, that hierarchies are there, but how to navigate it, that comes with a lot of experience and a lot of, I would say, building your reputation among stakeholders to be able to challenge. And then hierarchies mean nothing.
Yeah, when you build those relationships, yeah, hierarchy doesn't matter as much, especially if you're in a company with a healthy culture
Yeah.
where, that it's acceptable to have those frank conversations.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So you earned your degree in accounting, but you started your career in M&A. How did that happen versus accounting?
Oh, so this is just as a preface, like most of my career, most of my entire education has not been linear. And I think it's important to touch upon this point, because if there is someone out there who is probably lost and they don't know what is next for them, I think this story might really help. So I actually never even dreamt of being a CA. So I am actually a science student. And being raised in an Indian background where, you're expected to either be an engineer or a doctor when you are growing up, I just took up science in my junior college. But then I knew one thing, that I don't understand biology and I can't be a doctor. I can't be an engineer. I just want to be successful. I just want to be rich. I just want to, look after my family.
Successful and rich, not asking for much. I like it.
And I was just clear, okay, this is my goal. This is what I want. But I didn't know how to get there. And then it was after a couple of years that I'm like, no, I want to just do, probably I'll get into bachelor's of commerce, which is like a little bit of accounting degree. But in India, you can't be an average person. You have to be doing something more. So then I just took up chartered accountancy to start off with. And the mindset with which I went was, let's give it a shot. If I clear my exams, then probably is meant for me. And then I started doing my CA. And then after 5 years, when I became a chartered accountant, during that time, I was also doing my articleship or my internship, in which I was doing audit and taxation and accounting. And that's when I realized, oh shit, I don't like this. But I also was exposed to the whole world of corporate finance as a subject when I was studying for CA. And that's when I realized, okay, there are different aspects of finance. So maybe this could be something that I could explore. And my entire like one of the greatest things that I did early on in my career without any sort of guidance is I used to network a lot. And for me at that point in time, this is back in 2010, that networking meant just calling up friends and asking. So I remember asking my family members and my friends that, okay, do you know anyone who could be doing this sort of work? And then I was getting some contacts to kickstart my investment banking career. So that's the way I navigated it. I'm like, okay, I don't like this. So maybe I'll like this. It was never about I want this. I was never exactly clear. I just knew my goal about how I want to feel, how I want to be as a professional, but I just didn't know how. And that is what helped me break into investment banking. It was a small boutique firm. I wasn't earning as much as my other chartered accountant friends who had just, graduated and they were already working for these big banks. But something that helped me is an advice which was given by someone who told me that whenever you're starting your career, either a great role or a big brand really helps. And with that boutique investment banking experience, that was a great role which helped me get into the big four. And that's how I started my entire corporate finance career, which was basically valuation and business modeling, helping with transactions and more on the corporate finance side of things. I would say the part of networking kind of helped me right in the beginning of my career. And even today, it's exactly the same, which is helping me navigate different roles. And yeah, now with the power of networking, we are right now recording a podcast here.
Yeah, no, it's amazing how network, you have opportunities all over the world, how much the world has shrunk with platforms like LinkedIn,
Oh,
with
yeah.
video, with everything that's changed so much. I think 50 years ago, this would have never happened. 10 years ago, probably.
Nah.
Today it's just a different world.
Yeah. I mean, really, talking to anyone from like opposite side of the world, like the way we are, never did I even think like 10 years back that was a possibility. But here we are.
Yeah, well, if I look at, for let's say, middle of the day for me, I've had conversations with you in New Zealand, someone in Egypt, someone in the UK, and I've had a couple conversations with people in the US today, right? So it just shows how global it is. Like I'd never, pictured that when I started my career, and now that's just common. I'm talking to people all over the place. So it's definitely exciting. So let's talk Project Upgrade Her for a minute. You started that. You do career coaching for women. How did that come about? Where does that kind of fit into your story here?
Yeah. Okay. So maybe I'll start by just talking a little bit about what the platform is all about. So Project Upgrader is my little baby, which I've been growing, and it's a career elevation platform or a career education platform specifically for women to upgrade their career confidence and their earning potential. It is especially for those women who feel stuck in their careers and who doubt their abilities. So the core of all this work is actually helping women in being able to advocate for themselves and market themselves confidently. And this was kind of born out of my own struggles of navigating imposter syndrome and self-doubt early on in my career. And it kind of held me back for a very long time. And whether it meant, career growth or financial growth from that perspective. And there was something inside of me which, like for the past couple of years, always wanted to give back or, like help more people at a scale. And that's when I started creating content around 3 years back, just sharing what has helped me grow in my career. So I was like, okay, I can wait till I become a CEO, or I can just start sharing my journey of what is helping me today. And to my surprise, when I started sharing my content, it kind of resonated with a lot of women of color, especially because what happens is that due to cultural upbringing, there is that specific, I would say, hindrance to be able to talk about yourself and advocate for yourself in whether it be in your normal one-to-one conversations with your managers or even at during interviews. So I realized that this had held me back, and this is what women need the most help with, in developing confidence in their abilities and being able to talk about it in a way which is authentic to them. So, all in all, around 2.5, 3 years of doing this, and absolutely incredible personal growth journey as well for me, because I am slowly learning about people and their emotions through this, and being able to help and see women actually get ahead in their careers. That has been very, very fulfilling.
I would imagine, it's always rewarding to see people get ahead. I do a lot of training, and it's always great when people say, "Hey, something you taught me helped," right? It made me better. I think we all, I believe a life of service is the best life lived. and that involves helping others. Whatever way that may be, it's different for all of us, regardless of whether we're doing FP&A, business partnering, accounting, engineering, whatever. Finding ways to serve others is going to be the most rewarding part of life.
Is and somehow, even for me, business partnering as a role is kind of a natural extension of what I am actually already good at, and I actually enjoy that, at helping people. At the core of it, just knowing yourself that okay, this is what you enjoy, and then work becomes joy for you. Like even my day job is joy, because it's a big element of it is helping people solve problems, and which is also something that I'm doing with Project Upgrader, like helping women. So it's all intertwined.
No, and that's great when you can intertwine it all and you can be passionate about what you're doing, because we've all been in those roles throughout our career where you're like, all right, this is not fun. I'm not enjoying what I'm doing. Like, I'm sure as you were studying on some of the accounting stuff, right? It's like, I can't see myself doing debits and credits for 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the time you start questioning yourself.
Accountants out there that might be listening.
And that's the thing, right? Like we always think about the sunk cost fallacy, like that, oh, I have already done this, now I need to continue. And that is where mentoring and coaching really helps. And this is what even helped me navigate my career within finance. Like people think that you could be just stuck in the same accounting if you don't enjoy it, but there are so many ways that you can pivot within finance.
Well, and that's just it, right? I mean, if you like accounting, great, enjoy it.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, there's lots of ways you can leverage that background to do other things in finance. And if finance isn't the right area at all, like I said, it's a sunk cost. Go find what your passion is.
Exactly.
Right? We can all find something that we enjoy. Does that mean we're going to love every day? Job's going to be great? No. Work. We're still going to have those days. It's like, I don't want to be here. I have them running my own business, right? There's times when it's like, I don't want to go do another interview. And there's times when I'm super excited for it. It's part of life. Let's talk business partnering a little bit. You talk a lot about what it takes to transition into more of a business partnering role. And I get people all the time wanting to transition into FP&A, which a lot of people, generally is thought of as a business partnering role. Yes, there are some report areas, but that's what most people think of it about. So let's talk a little bit about how you made the transition and what you tell people.
So basically, everything that I've done in my career is very, very intentional. Like when I had moved from consulting to the business side of things within an electricity company, it was very intentional because I wanted to understand how a business works. Moving from consulting where you're just preparing reports and not knowing what's happening, that kind of really bothered me. So for me, it was firstly understanding what is that I really want from my career. So even though in the role where I was already in a FP&A role, which is analyst, and I progressed to a manager, but I realized one thing, that even though my title was a manager out there, I was still not able to reach out to senior stakeholders, and they were not able to reach out to me because of the smaller size of the company. And that's when I started realizing that, okay, I need to really go and secure a finance business partnering position in a bigger organization where there are more opportunities, there are more business units, there are more problems to solve. So one thing that I had to really convince the interviewers is, I have the communication skills to be able to talk to leaders without any hesitation and be able to convince and influence them. And secondly, do I have the emotional intelligence to be to be talking to them in a way which serves them. So for this, I had to make sure that in my current role, I'm getting opportunities to work on cross functional projects where I'm able to deal with even different stakeholders. Whether I know sometimes the size of the company limits you, but it's all about trying to find opportunity with what you have, especially if you're trying to transition, because you have to convince the interviewer, the hiring manager, that you're able to deal with people, you're able to talk, and you're able to negotiate and influence them. These are the key skills that a good business partner needs. So when I was trying to transition, that time I was really trying hard to get my foot into whichever projects are happening across, and talking to like the different business units about their problems. What are they dealing with, what sort of, like, how are they making money, or how are they trying to fix something. So wherever possible, I was trying to pitch in some, like, any process improvement and anything which was able to help them. So that was kind of help me build my career stories to be able to use in my next role out there. So I think it's, if you're not getting the opportunity in your current role, try and create it, or at least try and do something transferable. Like, as I said, it's all around stakeholder management. So whatever you can do to make it transferable, just make it work.
Tired of sitting through sales pitches designed as professional development? Same here. That's why I'm heading to the AFP FP&A Forum March 17th to 19th in Austin, where it's all about real, actionable insights. We're talking about AI, process efficiency, strategic planning, finance communication, practical takeaways, no fluff. Just ideas you can actually use to drive results. I'll be there too, leading the session. Amp up your scenario planning with Gen AI. If that's a topic you're excited about, let's connect. Join finance professionals from across the map at the AFP FP&A Forum, where the only agenda is your success. Head to afponline.org and use code FP&A Guy 2025 for $200 off. See you in Austin. Yeah, I still remember I had a guest on the podcast very early on, one of the first podcast episodes I did for FP&A Today, Cameron Winky, and he told a story. He was an accountant coming to a new company, and he was just really interested in understanding things. So on his own, he started analyzing and understanding why the variances were happening. And one day someone was asking something, oh, go ask Cameron, he knows. And, he ended up as the head of FP&A there. And now he's, in another role where he's very happy and quickly progressed. And just a great story of being proactive and figuring things out and ending up kind of shaping his career. I took a little bit more of the, I'll just take whatever I can find. I wasn't very intentional in my career, even starting my own business. And it's generally not the best way to, go throughout your career. And so I really like that, of being intentional and kind of proactive in finding those projects, because they really can help.
Yeah, and that is something which I feel like most of the people get it wrong, that if they are at that analyst role level or a title, they don't go beyond the job responsibilities that they have, which is all about reporting numbers. But actually understanding, analyzing, that is where the cream of the role is. And if your company allows it, and most of the companies are actually, they allow you to just go and talk to business without hindering your growth back. So that is what really helps people in becoming a future business partner.
Mm-hmm. What is it you love most about business partnering? I think we talked a little bit about this before. You mentioned helping people. Is that the part you like the most, is just feeling like you're making a difference for the business?
Yeah, so if you actually end up in a true business partnering role, true commercial business partnering role, and not a glorified management accounting role, then you will love it. And the reason why I love it is because I can actually see being able to advocate for the business units that I look after, and being like a mini CFO, or and the eyes and ears of it, and being able to influence my stakeholders in a way that you can see the impact of what you're talking about. So, for example, in one of the roles, I had actually influenced where we should be getting where should be purchasing our electricity contracts within New Zealand, in North Island or in South Island. And that helped me and the business make up the entire portfolio of the electricity contracts that we were buying. So being able to see like a proper, like tangible outcome coming out of those decisions, that is something which is very fulfilling. And at the heart of it, senior leaders are nothing but humans who are just relying on you to give you the right information, to give the right direction, and hold them sort of accountable to be in alignment with the strategy. So I think, again, it comes back to being that bridge, which is helping them like, okay, I understand you, and this is how we are financially restrained, or we need to financially navigate to help you get there. And that is very fulfilling because you're seeing the outcome of it. You're seeing within a year's time the outcome of whatever you are proposing to them. So for me, it comes down to that part.
I'm curious, we've talked a little bit about the skills, but if you were to list the top 3 skills, let's just start with 3, that someone needs to be a great business partner from your perspective, what are those? And then the follow-up question is, what advice can you offer on developing those skills?
Okay, so I think whenever we talk about, typical business partnering skills, people just talk about, okay, commercial acumen, storytelling, stakeholder management. I say that it's not something different in rocket science, but these 3 abilities will really help you become a great business partner. So what sets you apart is, firstly, meeting people where they are at. Okay, so a great business partner actually translates finance into the language of the business, what they are talking. And not, yes, you as a business partner, you will always be using your finance language, but trying to understand where people are at in their journey, and actually translating it for them, that really helps. And I developed this skill by actively listening to the teams, by spending a lot of time upfront talking to them, understanding the what language they are talking, and they are exactly facing the same problems, but in their language. What does it mean? So that's one. The second one is, this is a very underrated skill, but being concise in what you talk. And it all comes down to talk about the why behind it, and being able to communicate what you're trying to say in a very concise manner, in a storytelling format. That is something which would really set you apart. Something that I've learned from one of my managers is, he had shared that there's a framework which is obviously developed, that there's what, so what, and now what. Any problem, if you're able to describe in these 3 steps, it becomes so much easier for anyone to understand. So what is obviously describing the situation. So what how does it matter, and the impact of it, and now what are the remedies, or what are the recommendations from it. This is what the business needs. If you are able to describe a problem, or any insight that you have in this in these 3 steps, then it makes so much easier for the business, and then there are fewer follow-up questions. So reporting numbers is just one thing, but then it's also about helping them understand the impact of it. And the third one is building trust through consistency. So trust is built when you are constantly delivering error-free work, when you're proactively flagging risk, and you are proactively recommending improvements to the business units that you're working for. And over time, that helps you become a reliable advisor, and not just someone who was a finance person sitting in finance. They come and they present numbers to you every month. You start becoming an advisor, and they start thinking of you as their own team. So I think I kind of covered, while I was talking, how you build that already. But I know, like, everyone talks about, like, yeah, if just do Excel, just do this, but it's actually these attributes which help you become a great business partner instead.
Agreed. I mean, yes, Excel, financial modeling, the technical skills are table stakes. We all have to have them. We're, we're not going to get our first job without some level of proficiency. But those soft skills are really what help us develop, stand apart, make a difference when combined with those analytical and technical skills that we need. It's not an either or. You need both. But at the end of the day, the one that really helps you advance tends to be the soft skills once you've hit a barrier, right? Like, nobody needs to learn the newest Excel function to be good in your job. I've never had a boss ask me, what were the 10 functions you used in that model? They could care less. As long as it does what it's supposed to and it's designed well, and you can articulate the decision that it's supporting, nobody cares what function you use. Where the technical is helpful, I think, especially one, allowing you to automate, speed up time, often do good analysis, get to data that you might not be able to otherwise, then it's the soft skills that allow you to influence and take that and make that difference for the business. You mentioned the what, now what, so what. Use that all the time in my training. You know, you need to spend the what is what we so often get caught up on, but 80% of your time needs to be spent on the so what, and particularly most of it should be on the now what. That's what the business wants to know. We're advisors. The business is looking to us to help them make better, faster decisions. That's what a business partner does. And others in finance get to do that too, but particularly that FP&A business partnering role, you're a lot like a mini CFO. There's a reason more and more CFOs are coming from FP&A and more CFOs are becoming CEOs. That role is becoming much more commercial and strategic than it used to be historically.
Absolutely. And, going back to my point that it's so important to find that right role which is helping you do that, because uh, finance business partner as a title could mean anything at any point of your career. And I think we've spoken about this in our introductory call before, that it's there's a still line of difference, and you have to be able to spot how you can actually not be a glorified management accountant versus a role which is influencing the entire business. So being able to spot that is very, very key in the interview, and probably even in the first couple of months of your role. You should be able to spot it, and there are a couple of things that you need to do to be able to spot that. But yeah, I specifically nailed it at the interview stage. How do you figure out what it is like?
Yeah, you want to figure out what the role is really going to be like and make sure it's a fit. And if you're really focused on business partnering and the strategic side, you need to make sure that's the role versus reporting. I spent most of my career in the business units versus corporate, because if you're in a corporate role, you're often a lot more reporting, rolling up, not as much with the business in FP&A, management accounting, whatever you want to call it. Whereas if you're out in the business and supporting a leader of a business, you're generally doing a lot more business partnering. Neither's better than the other, neither's right or wrong. You just need to know what fits your personality and where you're going to be happy, is what I tell people. Because, if you love being out with the business and making those decisions, you're the guy that's rolling it all up and doing all the reporting and nothing but board decks, probably not going to be very happy, and you're not going to last long.
Yeah, exactly. It needs to challenge you at some point, right? Like, so I mean, there's only so much of couple of years you can spend doing the same thing, and but whereas with a true business partnering role, the problems evolve over time as the business is growing. So that becomes a lot more fulfilling, I believe.
Yeah, especially if the business is growing. I supported Traveler's Check for American Express. Here's what that business looked like. I think it had dropped 99% over the last 15 years. It had gone from a $20 billion business to, let's just say, a lot less than that.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was actually really interesting to support. But I also looked at it and said, probably not a long-term place to support a dying business.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah, there's only so much bones that are left in that, right? And how much more, I would say, creative can you get in those situations?
Yeah, there's always so much left to extract in the way of value and to make a difference in a business that you're maintaining because you have to, but it's not an area you're trying to grow. So that was an interesting experience. But we're going to switch gears here a little bit. I want to spend a few minutes talking personal brand.
Yeah.
You've talked a lot about how personal brand is really valuable, and it's really important for, people to do that, not just hone the technical skills, get certificates, or even soft skills. So talk a little bit about why you think personal branding is so valuable.
Yeah. So it's firstly, you could be building the most complex models, but if people don't know that, then it's a problem. And this was something that I soon realized in somewhere in my mid career, that I was such a hard worker, and I still am, but my work was not getting highlighted the way it should have been. And that is something which kind of held me back. And that's when I realized that I need to be building my brand in a way that people reach out to me for the right things. And person branding is nothing but a natural extension of what you are naturally good at, and you want to convey that in a professional setting. So It's basically, I would say, that intentionally creating that perception of you, which is not is authentic to you. I'm not saying that, like, a perception means a false reality. A perception is being able to mold an image of you which you feel will really take you forward in your life. So specifically, it could mean, like, for me, that people reach me out for more decision making, for more strategic thinking, or if I want to be known as, like, oh, she is technically competent, or she is a great collaborator, she's a great communicator. How am I conveying that to the business in different ways, so that when the right opportunity comes, they reach out to me? And again, back in my consulting days, I was really good at analytical work, but again, to be able to highlight that, it was a big challenge due to the hierarchy and many other factors. And that's when I realized that, okay, I need to be building my brand with the right people in the business if I want to grow. And just, it's not also about just within your business. If you're looking at your overall career, it means you are letting your network also know about it.
FP&A Guy here, and I want to tell you about the Planning and BI Showcase. Gone are the days of juggling multiple platforms. Now with business intelligence tools, you can integrate planning directly into your BI system, the same system your entire company already uses. Join me on March 20th for the Planning and BI Showcase, where industry leaders will demonstrate how top BI tools are reshaping strategic planning. See firsthand how modern FP&A solutions can drive real value across your enterprise. The event features live demos from leading BI solutions. Whether you're a CFO or an FP&A professional, you'll discover the tools that can help you deliver more value across your enterprise. Don't miss out. Register today at www.excelevents.com/e/planning.in.bi.showcase and take the first step towards smarter, data-driven decision-making. Yeah, and there's a lot to that of, part of it is not just working hard. Lots of people have great work ethic and do really good work, but you also have to figure out how to be visible. It doesn't mean playing politics. I think some people think that. It doesn't mean you have to brag about everything you do, but you have to find ways to help people understand the value you're bringing. You can do that both internally and externally. I try to make sure people know my brand is all about my beard. I don't care about FP&A or anything. Not it. But it really is about brand. And that's something, since I've started my own business, and obviously a big part of my business is the brand I've built, I've come to realize the value of it. I mean, I could share story after story how, sharing and building a brand has helped me with opportunities I would have never had before.
Oh, wow. I would love to hear a little bit more about it, like, if we have some time at the end. But
Sure, I'll share for a minute now. I'll share a little bit. I've talked about to the audience before, but I mean, some of the opportunities. So when I started my business, I remember there's some companies I had applied to. Never heard anything, couldn't get a job with them. I built my brand for about a year and a half, started my own business, really starting to scale. I reached out to one of the companies about a job potentially and got an email back within 10 minutes.
Oh,
That's completely different from never hearing anything to getting an email back. That's, one example. I'm now a Microsoft MVP as I've built my brand. I get opportunities to talk to people all over the world. I've had, job offers from companies that I couldn't get hired at before that I had applied to. And I remember, them offering me jobs, and that's come from the brand. So it really does letting yourself be known, but you got to do it authentically.
yes.
And being yourself. It's not about bragging or convincing everybody you're better than others. It's just helping people see who you are. Like when I ask people how do they view my brand? The word I get most often is authentic. Sometimes I'll hear folksy. And that's what I want. I want people to think, okay, I'm authentic. I do this because I enjoy it. I'm trying to share a message to help others, but I also want people to recognize that, I'm an authority in this space. I'm somebody that I can help you with things if you need it.
Yeah. And did you mainly build it via sharing your knowledge on LinkedIn or online? Because I'm sure, like, there are people at my stage who would love to, get get more brand exposure. So how did you go about with that?
Yeah, for me, it was mostly LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I got invited to some webinars and different things off LinkedIn. Somebody asked me to write an article for the website and things started to build. I never planned on building a business. I was on LinkedIn to get a job. What I always tell people when it comes to building a brand is I say, one, you have to find your medium and your voice. Some people like, you have to be on LinkedIn or you have to be on TikTok, you have to be on YouTube. And I
Yeah.
basically call BS to all of it. You find what works for you, whether that's podcast, video, audio, long form blog. You can build a brand any medium you want. Some are harder than others, some are better for your type of work than others, but that doesn't mean you have to do it. You find out what works for you, and then it comes down to consistency and get better over time. Odds are your content, as I like to tell people, is going to suck at first.
Yeah.
It's just reality. But the good news is nobody's looking anyway because you don't have a following. So just and you'll get better.
I love that reframe. I absolutely love it.
I've had plenty of things that have completely bombed where I'm like, all right, what was I thinking? But you just learn.
Yeah, and I think just on that point around building the brand, like I stay in the part of the world where there's a big thing called as tall poppy syndrome. That if is anyone is trying to outshine, then people around start feeling a little uncomfortable, and that is something that it was hard to get over. So firstly, initially in my career, when I couldn't advocate for myself, I had to turn into a new leaf. And then in this part of the world where it's a little more rampant, so it's hard. But then if you stay true to yourself and you really believe that yes, you do have value to offer, and to your point, you're not bragging, you're just letting people know of your capabilities, of what the value you can bring to the table in a way which sounds you know authentic to you, then opportunities flow in. So yeah, I agree. Like for me also, even advocating for myself in interviews in the right manner got me the opportunities.
Yeah, you definitely have to learn to advocate for yourself, and it's a balance for everybody. And like I said, it's figuring out what works for you and developing those skills. One of the things I really like is so often we're told, "Hey, focus on your weaknesses to turn them into strengths." I think the best advice I've heard is focus on the weaknesses that are keeping you from going where you need to. Get those to a level that they're no longer a problem, and then focus on your strengths. You'll differentiate yourself by your strengths. And that works best when you have a couple unique strengths, right? If you're a great accountant, you're in a huge pool. But if you're a great accountant that's also a great trainer, it's a much smaller pool. Or you're a great accountant that's also a great business partner. Whatever that might be, having two or three skills that you're really good at are going to allow you to stand out better than becoming slightly above average with all your weaknesses.
Oh, I love that. And that is kind of, the framework that I had used for building a personal brand. Like identifying your own unique strengths and your unique values. And something that I've learned is that if you work on your strengths, you're going to 10x your career. And when I pivoted from consulting to the business side of things, I 10x my growth because I pivoted on my strengths. I realized this is what I like. And that is what helped me accelerate my career. And then obviously, the other things are like creating opportunities for yourself once you know your unique strengths, like, immersing yourself in projects like that, and asking for more collaboration opportunities within your business. So it's all about being able to first identify and then find opportunities, and then the third one obviously is like being able to advocate and communicate it out in various ways, and like whether it's to your manager in your one-to-one conversations, or whether it's in your wider stakeholder group, or as you said, like on online. You're a classic example of how you build your brand online. So that is what kind of helps you make that personal brand.
Yep. And, for some people, if your personal brand, a lot of it can be just inside the company. Yeah. At some point you need to go external because odds are you're gonna have to find another job somewhere. But you definitely start with just building it where you are. It doesn't have to be a big project. It can start very small.
Absolutely. And this is something which people kind of get wrong once they get a job. They kind of get comfortable just within their building their brand, just within the company, and no one outside actually really knows you. But constantly going for these networking events where you're meeting finance professionals, meeting people within your industry, that kind of lands you the future opportunities. So it's thinking about your career, not just your job.
Well, especially the more senior you go. I still remember there's a guy who I know he wanted to be CFO of American Express, had a lot of senior positions, very senior roles. And they ended up going external when they hired someone. One of the things was they didn't feel he had a big enough network. At those senior levels, you need to be able to pick up the phone and talk to people all over the place and get advice and have conversations. And, they're paying for your intelligence, they're paying for your experience, but also to a certain extent, there's a network piece that they're paying for.
Absolutely. Yeah, even I've seen in my roles here, like most of the people who are at the senior, they have been hired not because they had applied to the roles, but someone knew someone, and someone knew someone.
Exactly. All right, so we're going to move into our next section. These are some kind of fun FP&A questions we ask and might surprise you here a little bit, but we'll start with the first couple ones that are pretty straightforward. We ask every guest.
Okay.
What is the number one technical skill that FP&A professionals should master?
So beyond Excel and typical financial modeling, I would say data visualization is going to really help you in your career. Like uh, leaders love that. If you're able to present that little table in a chart, which is actually telling a story and telling you the result, it's going to take you places. So if you are able to learn that, whether it's through dashboard or whether it's just making even charts from your basic data, that is one skill that you should really hone into.
Yeah, it's a great one. Data visualization. So what's the number one soft skill?
Being able to negotiate. And negotiation influence comes hand in hand, but being able to get buy in from stakeholders without being the villain and steering conversations for better financial outcomes. And it all comes down to like, if you are somehow able to push back on unrealistic budgets and still not be the villain, still, then that is how you've nailed negotiation skills. And it's a work in progress. You will never be nailing it at one stage of your career. One thing I've learned is you will always be developing it with experience.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of truth to that. It's a process. It takes time. So, question, are you currently using generative AI at work?
So I am actually not using it to the extent I would like, and somehow this part of the world is not using it to the extent that I think US is using it. And I want to like talk to you more about it at the end of it. But the way I'm using it is actually more to challenge me. Like, so for example, I feed in some data and about some insight. I asked ChatGPT to challenge me so that I can provide more insights out of it. So that's how I've been using it currently. But yeah, I want to know more about it from you later on.
That's a great way. I've heard a lot of people say it's really good at using it to challenge you. I think that's a good one. I don't think that's a lot of people realize how good it can be there, kind of an underutilized one. So I appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, Gen AI, I think everybody's still trying to figure out exactly how we use it. I get all kinds of answers and we all know it's beneficial. We're all using it, or most of us are using it to some extent. It's continuing to figure out how to get the most value out of it. And there's still security and data and privacy and cost, and lots of things we're figuring out. So it'll be a journey we're all going on together, but it's not going anywhere and we all have to learn it. If you don't, you're just going to get left behind. My take. All right. Now we're going to go to the get to know you section. We've got to know about this person who loves business partnering. Well, let's get to know a little bit more about you. So, a favorite hobby or passion outside of work and outside of your woman's project.
So, as a kid, I never got to travel. So, this phase of my life, my passion is basically my hobby is to travel as much as I can. And this is what I've been doing for the past 2, 3 years. I've been visiting new countries every 6 months, if possible. And most I went to New York just 2 years back, and that was my dream as a kid to, travel to New York, and it lived up to my expectations. So that's where I am heading at. Like in the next 2 to 3 years, this is what I want to do. I want to travel more and more. I want more experiences.
Fun. Enjoy the travel. New York's a fun city to visit for sure. All right. If you could go back and give your younger self, one piece of advice, what would it be?
I think now that I look back, because I studied so much and I worked so hard. I want to tell my younger self that you don't have to be serious all the time. Things are gonna work out. If you do the work, things are gonna work out. But live a little more and enjoy a little bit more, because I personally believe at this stage of life that I did not enjoy my youth the way I could have, because I was so focused on studying, finishing my chartered accountancy, and I was doing Indian CA. It's a tough one to crack. Only 10% people pass in that. So yeah, now that I look back, I'm like, okay, probably all that work led me to where I am today. But I have missed out a lot of, my youthful days, I feel. Which is what I'm trying to live now, by traveling and all of it. But yeah, I would say just go.
Have a little more fun, be a little easier on yourself, work hard, but also enjoy things.
Yes, absolutely.
And there's definitely a balance. There's a lot of people like to say, play hard, work hard.
Mm, exactly. Yeah, I wish I would have understood that a little bit more. But when you are so stressed at that point in time, you don't know how to navigate your future. So, you just work hard.
Yeah, it's easy to do. We all can get caught up in it. I definitely have a tendency to probably work more than I should, but that's another story. All right. If you could swap jobs with anyone for 1 week, who you swapping jobs with?
Oh, I want to be a barista. So basically, I want to own a cafe. And this is probably a dream project, that I want to be in a cafe and be a barista. And that's because New Zealand has turned me into a flat white snob, and I can't have a bad coffee. And I love having conversations over coffee with people. So I really want to, know what it would be like to own a cafe one day. So even probably just it would be like for a week. I'm happy with that, but just to know what it would feel like, I want to do that.
All right. Well, you could always just take a sabbatical from work, go down to Starbucks and apply for a job for a week.
Yeah, in New Zealand, if you go to Starbucks, people are gonna look down at you because people love their local artisan coffees out here. And if you ever come to this part of the world, I'm gonna take you for a nice cup. But then yeah, that is something I would absolutely love.
No, that's cool. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for joining me today. I think it's been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it as much. Kind of last chance. Any last advice you'd like to give our audience?
I think it would be, think like a business owner. If you can think of your business units of your business as, I own this business, how can I make it more profitable? How can I help them? You will be solving a lot more problems. You will have a much broader perspective to be able to navigate things and to be able to talk about it to different people. And another big one, please don't let your title hold you back. And you just shoot above the shot. It's like that. It's, don't limit yourself with your title. That's my biggest advice to all the analysts who are out there who are trying to break into business partnering.
I love that. Don't limit yourself because of your title. That's why I gave myself the title of CEO.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's helping, right?
Exactly. People pay attention now. No, titles really don't matter. It's about the work you perform. Yes, you want to progress your titles. Sure. Can it make a difference in your pay and all the things? We get all that. But it's about doing good quality work, being somebody who people rely on, and the rest takes care of itself. And that's the advice I would tell anyone. Don't get hung up on the little details. At the end of the day, they usually don't make a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. It's looking at a bigger picture, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So if someone wants to get in touch with you or learn more about you, what's the best way?
So the best way would be my LinkedIn. If someone wants to reach out to me, that's the place where I hang out the most. And otherwise, if someone is interested in, developing their career, then my Instagram channel at Project Upgrade Her is where I hang out the most. So these two platforms, please reach out to me. More than happy to answer your questions.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Ritu. I really enjoyed our chat and getting to know you a little bit better. And you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Go do something fun. It's nice and early.
Yes, thank you. And the weather is looking great today, so I am probably gonna do something fun.
Well, good. Well, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to FP&A Tomorrow. If you enjoyed the show, please leave us a 5-star rating and a review on your podcast platform of choice. This allows us to continue to bring you great guests from around the globe. As a reminder, you can earn CPE credit by going to earmarkcpe.com, downloading the app, taking a short quiz, and getting your CPE certificate. To earn continuing education credits for the FPAC certification, take the quiz on Earmark and contact me, the show host, for further details.